and the oncologist calls us in and explains to us that the tumors have now spread in his brain, down his spine, and into his lower back. He has disease everywhere. And it's at this moment that we hear the single worst thing a parent can hear. I told you back in April 2012, we heard the second worst thing, that Jake had cancer. And you're probably thinking, what could be worse than that? Well, this past December, just about 3 months ago, we heard the worst thing a parent can hear, and they bluntly looked at us and said, Jake is going to die. You have one decision left. Would you like for him to pass away in the hospital, or would you like to take him home? Thanks for the options. So we took Jake home, tried to spend Christmas as best we could, and we started to watch him deteriorate right in front of us. He couldn't hold down any food. He was nauseous. He was in so much pain. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. He couldn't bathe. He couldn't go to the bathroom himself. He couldn't do anything. We were released on hospice care. Now, we always heard about hospice. We know it's not good. We didn't know exactly what it meant. Hospice sucks. All hospice meant was that we could get as much morphine or oxy as we wanted for him. And as he would tell us he's in pain, we'd give him more morphine. And it would do virtually nothing for his pain. But that stuff comes with crazy side effects, crazy highs. So we tried the oxy. The oxy would do nothing. He was vomiting, so we give him what they gave us, Zofran. Zofran did nothing. He couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, he didn't want to be awake, he was in pain. It was horrible. Watching a boy, because he was no longer Jake, he was a boy, deteriorate and die in our home. So we took things into our own hands and said, there has to be something better. So we stumbled upon medical marijuana. Medical marijuana was the single best medication for Jake. That one plant, when administered, took the place of 6 pharmaceutical drugs that were doing virtually nothing for him. Within 20 minutes of giving Jake his medical marijuana, he would eat, he would laugh, he would play on his iPad, he slept great, he played with Gianna, he became Jake again. Unfortunately, we did it the right way. We became Jake legally carded with marijuana. We went to the legal medical dispensaries and bought it. And we would make it in our home and convert the flower into an oil and tack it to his gums or under his tongue so he didn't get high, but it still relieved the pain and all the symptoms. There's a big difference between marijuana used recreationally, just like any other drug, and it used medically. So we stayed on medical marijuana all through the new year. And about 6 weeks ago, January 21st, 2018, we woke up around 7:30 in the morning. Jake's eyes were open. He had no pulse, he had no heartbeat. Jake passed away peacefully and painlessly in his own bed on January 21st. Gianna woke up that morning to about 6 police officers in our home, 4 EMS, 2 fire and rescue, and a deceased brother across the hall. That's what cancer does. So cancer is the reason why I have to introduce you to Jake via a picture. Because Jake was here all these other Squanathons. He's been to every one since we've been involved. That was Jake. So that's the bad news, right? Again, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the truth. And those statistics I shared earlier and our personal story with Jake It's very real. 7 kids died today from cancer. How many did you hear about? 7 died yesterday. 7 will die tomorrow. 7 will die on Sunday. You're probably not going to hear about any of them. But since Jake's passing, a lot of good has come out of it. One day after Jake passed away, we sent them back to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, a place we never wanted to see again, but this time for good reason. Jake donated his entire brain and spine to cancer research so that the researchers and scientists at CHOP could study his tumor. They're taking pieces of his tumor and putting it inside of mice, and they're going to try to treat it. This could take months, it could take years, but because of Jake donating his brain and spine, hopefully when other kids are diagnosed with his type of brain cancer, their parents don't have to share a picture. 3 days after Jake's passing, we got a phone call from the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy. Governor Murphy signed an executive order after hearing how successful Jake was with medical marijuana and hearing how some of the troubles we had about getting it and getting enough and cooking it in our own kitchen, some of the struggles we had with the state program. He signed an executive order because of Jake that forced the Department of Health to look at the state's medical marijuana program, and they have 60 days to revise the entire medical marijuana program we have in New Jersey. And those 60 days are almost up, and I can't wait to hear the changes. There's also been a bill written in Jake's name. It's called Jake Honig's Law. And you can look it up. And if this bill is passed, it would be a law in New Jersey that means that patients like Jake can get unlimited amounts of medical marijuana, as much as they need to stay comfortable as they get towards their end of life. And it would also allow parents like us not to have to cook it in our own kitchen, but you could buy it at dispensaries in an oil form so you can give it to a child. So there's a lot of good that's happening. But that really wouldn't be possible without organizations like the Squanathon. Because if we rely on the government funding for pediatric cancer research, those numbers of 43 and 7 are never going to change. If we rely on the American Cancer Society that gives 4% of their fundraising money to pediatric cancer research, 4%, it's going to be centuries before we make an impact. And when a child loses their life to cancer, they lose on average 70 years of their life. An adult loses 15 years on average. So we'll leave you with this. First off, thank you, because what you do is so important, and we wish that more schools did this, because it's the private organizations that will make a difference. We can't rely on the government funding or these big chain charitable organizations. They're just not putting the money to the kids. So what you do is so important. And just remember, tonight's going to be a long night, and it's a lot of work getting up to this point. But when you feel tired, when you feel like you want to throw in the towel, just think about those 43 moms and dads tomorrow that are going to be told that their kid has cancer. And think about those 7 kids like Jake today that died. So we thank you so much. Have a great night.